LI 2462.
Also to come, discriminatory, biased and unfair. This afternoon, the Association of Private Schools drags government to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice over 30% priority placement policy.
And later in the show, over 40 hectares of reforested land under the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project at Nswaim No. 2 in the Bono Ashanti region is under threat. We have details of all these and more coming up in a jiffy. I am Martin Esiedu-Dati.
Sometimes restoration has a blowback. I'm Kameni Amano. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
A warm welcome to NewsCentral. Time now for the details of our stories we have for you tonight. And from your election command center, let's do some politics. The Electoral Commission has also been justifying why it has not cracked down on political parties in line with the Political Parties Act 2000, Act 574. The Commission this year disqualified more than 12 aspirants for failing to gather the required endorsements. Deputy Chair in charge of Corporate Services, Dr. Bosman Asari, has been speaking to TV3 News.
Almost every year, the Electoral Commission goes around to inspect the offices of the political parties at the national level, at the regional level, at the district level. Certainly, not all the parties are able to provide these structures. But I made an earlier point that the Commission exists to promote multi-party democracy, which is what the Constitution stresses. Against this backdrop, the Commission cannot just go out and say, oh, well, if you want to apply the law strictly, you may end up not meeting the objectives of the Constitution. So we encourage the parties, we give them deadlines, make sure you do A, B, C, and D. And that's what the Commission has been doing. And you know, certainly we can do everything we have to do, but others may not also fall in line. And all the good things the parties must do, we try to double down, we tell them to do it. So we think that's why is that maybe you see some parties who others think that they are so small parties, but they're able to qualify. That means they do their things very well. So we think that some parties are not doing it very well. And generally, you can also see that for some political parties, maybe they wait till the last minute to do these things. And you know, this is something you need to get 2 people from each of the administrative districts. And that's a lot of work to do. So if you don't plan very well and you think you can use some 2 days, 3 days to do it, you may end up making a lot of mistakes.
The Commission is also questioning latest surveys indicating a decline in public trust in its activities. The survey by Afrobarometer and the National Commission for Civic Education have revealed dwindling trust and worsening public perception about the work of the Commission some 24 days to the major elections. But Deputy Chair in charge of Corporate Services, Dr. Bosman Asari, said these surveys are not a true reflection of the work being done.
I don't want to jump onto that bandwagon because I don't know the people they ask. But again, my point is that you talk about the quality of elections in Africa. Ghana is one of the best in the continent. Ghana is one of the best in the business. So regarding this forensic audit issue you just mentioned, you remember as soon as we had a meeting publicly, which was televised nationally, all Ghanaians saw that the EC had nothing to hide. And since we finished that meeting, there have been no calls for any forensic audit. An indication that the EC has demonstrated a lot of competence, a lot of goodwill, which I believe that many countries, election management bodies are even looking up to us. So I think that people may make a lot of noises about the work of the Electoral Commission. But when you look at the processes we have put in place, everything we do, we don't do it in isolation. We do it with the political parties. The printing you just mentioned, you go to the printing houses, the political parties are there 24/7. When we are transporting the ballots, the political parties are there. When we send the ballots to the regional police armories, the political parties put their seals. When we are even destroying the waste materials at the printing houses, the political parties are there, they sign off. So everything is being done. So I think that when this reports, etc., come out, maybe it's more about some people who were sampled and they either you undersampled some people or you oversampled some people. But in reality, when you look at the work we do at Ghana's Electoral Commission, we are one of the best in the business.
One of the best in the business. You just heard from Dr. Bosman Asare, who is a Deputy Commissioner at the Electoral Commission of Ghana. We can now go over to Zoom and speak to Dr. Samuel Efriye, a political analyst. Doc, good afternoon to you. Now, you heard the Commission saying that these polls will show, or rather, these surveys will show a decline in public trust. As far as the Commission is concerned, it's not a true reflection of their work. Is that a true interpretation also of the reality today?
Thank you very much, and also greetings to your cherished viewers as well. You know, when the research comes out, it is up to the one that that is targeted to interpret or how to accept it. I think that the EC should accept the realities because it's a two research or two institutions that have provided this information, the Afrobarometer and the NCC. So you cannot say that these two institutions are wrong. Maybe it depends on how you're communicating to Ghanaians about what they are doing. So they should not just throw this away. This is how people say it. This is what, so you can't just throw it away and even question the issue that maybe now is what you are putting things in place. And I think that EC should also try as much as practical to ensure that they get a PR session. Because these commissioners coming out day in and day out tries to always confuse citizens as well. So the EC should try as much as possible to get a qualified public relations officer that can relate with the citizens with the right information. If not, they will always confuse us with these, and that may have resulted in what the research has been identified.
Very well, but when you listen to the Deputy Commissioner, you hear him talk about how they have carried the public and the political parties along the entire electoral process up until election day, and you know how transparent that process has been. So what do you think could be informing public perception that the Electoral Commission is not as trustworthy as it used to be?
That's what I'm saying, that maybe that they are now taking certain steps. And these,
what kind of steps? That's what I hope we can get into. What is it that the Electoral Commission has done or not done?
Yes, based on what he's saying, that they are contacting the political parties, they are aware of the processes of these, what do we call it, the election statistics and other things. That is what he is saying. I'm not if he's not telling me, I would not have known some of these things. So I think that's what I'm saying, that there's a gap. If they are doing what is expected of them, the PR session of EC should let people know. And that is what matters. Because this is reality. This is what research has identified. Whether they like it or yes or whatever, they should accept it and rethink and change their way of doing things. You cannot convince me right now, my dear, that the two institutions, their findings are wrong. No, at least it is what people are seeing, and they should accept it and try to redirect or rethink about what they engage the citizens about some of their processes or their issues. That is what is happening. Yeah.
And in redirecting that perception about them or about the offices they occupy, what will be the single most important thing that you expect the Electoral Commission to do in the lead up to the elections?
Yes, that is what I'm saying, that they should engage a good PR practitioner that knows a lot of things about in terms of elections, and also try to engage these the political parties and stakeholders, and also engage the public as well. These are the things that matters most. So, because
that's my concern, Doc, because the Electoral Commission already is doing some of these things on their Facebook pages, on traditional media, in English and Chi and many other languages. We know that they are engaging seriously with the public. So what is left to be done?
What is, you see, what I'm saying is that they are doing all these things, but these are the realities that the research is telling us. So what we are thinking now, we are saying is that the EC should be proactive enough, because sometimes what they do is that they tend to do some of these things before they come out and engage some of these stakeholders. And that's why some parties and other people tend to be outraged about some actions of EC. So what we are saying is that the engagement should be done before some of these things are done, because I think that the NDC raised an issue about ballot statistics, not knowing that they have started already. So I think that the engagement should be in a proactive manner, but not a reactive kind of engagement. And that is where we believe that it can work for the EC. And as I still continue to say that they should get qualified PR practitioner to help them in their relationship with the city.
Absolutely. Doc, I appreciate you talking to us. Dr. Samuel Efriye is a political analyst.
And talking about politics, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has renewed his willingness to release 30 billion cedis to support the private sector's growth in many other sectors in the country. He says this will help transform Ghana's economy and spearhead growth in the country. He was addressing stakeholders at Chidie in the Kwawuma constituency, still in the Ashanti region, where he has been for the last 4 to 5 days.
But the Canadian, Beba, Yabi Amamo, a quine degree, Yabi Amamo. Meba, meaning say, Nana was so say, you hear nursing training college, so Ewa. Nina, Meba, just a Mebua Kunta, yes, sir. Meaning some Mebua Kunta, and he made a Memopa, Apo, Ijumading, Amamo, Mayo, Abo, Ijumading, Amamo. Na itimiaye njuma bebre amamo, because maybe in share me bosono enye ni nyina no with the private sector also be ka ho say na ka say.
So that's the NPP's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, still in the Ashanti region, trying to convince the people. You would ordinarily have thought that because the Ashanti region votes for the NPP, he probably should have just done a one-off campaign, and then because those are people who are aligned with the NPP. However, the vice president has been in the region for well over getting into the 5th day. Daniel Opoku is our man on his campaign trail. Daniel, thank you for your time. Good afternoon. To start with, can you hazard a guess? How many days have you been with the vice president in the Ashanti region?
Right, so good afternoon to you, Martin. Currently, the vice president and NPP flag bearer is Ahinema Kokobin, and at Kwawuma constituency. He's addressing party, we should be addressing party faithful. But a short while ago, he engaged with the stakeholders, the traditional leaders, the clergy, and also the Muslim clerics. They basically was telling his ideas to them. He mentioned the Ghana card, which has been a major identity card for every Ghanaian, where Dr. Muhammad Bawumia was saying that before the end of this year, the Ghana card will be used as at the airport to operationalize the e-gate system. They also mentioned the solar power, which says that because of the importation of oil and gas...
Sorry, Daniel, I didn't hear the point you made. He says the Ghana card will be used as a what?
He said the Ghana card will be used as will be used to operationalize the e-gate system at the Kutuka International level. So, for instance, when you travel outside, and you are coming back to Ghana, when you get to the airport, you may not necessarily need an immigration officer, but you slot your Ghana card, and that will give you access for you to come through. That's what the Vice President mentioned, and that operationalization will begin before the end of this year. Then the other bit has to do with the solar power, which was telling the traditional leaders that because of the importation of oil and gas, the region has seen hiked in terms of huge prices when it comes to the management of electricity. So with the solar power, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is saying that he will set up solar farms in every district where the manufactured solar panels were manufactured, so that we'll be able to harness the solar power to reduce the cost of electricity. The cost for every Ghanaian. The most importantly about the 30 billion Ghana cedis that he mentioned to support private sector development, because you take that chunk of the money so that the private investor will be able to come in. Then there will be public-private partnership. That's what Dr. Bawumia has been telling the chiefs and the traditional leaders in the community. And they have also renewed their commitment to ensure that he comes to power, because they were able to recall a lot of the things done by President Anadorakwa Akufo-Addo, ably supported by the current flag, Dr. Bawumia, in terms of their roads and also other facilities in the constituency.
And what would you say the reception has been for the Vice President? And I'm asking this on the back of the fact that we know over time some NPP supporters in the Ashanti region had concerns about the amount or the levels of development under this government in the region. Has that come up, and is that why almost everywhere the Vice President goes, he's promising the roads? Give me the roads, give me the infrastructure. I'll do that for you if I get the nod.
Right. So, Martin, it's a very reason that the Vice President has decided to be in the Ashanti region for 15 days. And we are in just about 8 to 9 days in Ashanti. When every community in the constituency that he has visited, he said that they should give the roads, they should put the roads into his palm. That when the council president will be able to fix those, we realize that a lot of the communities of the constituencies, even though some of the roads have been completed, others are yet to be completed. And the concerns by the constituency, the concerns by the electorate, they channel through their chiefs, and their chiefs table those concerns before the Vice President. And also the NPP flag has to need the commitment to get those things resolved, to get the roads fixed, to get the deplorable roads put in proper shape. That's the commitment to the Vice President. But the reception has been very huge and very effective, because almost every constituency that he visited, you see a sizable number of the NPP delegates, a sizable number of the electorate, a sizable number of the constituents who are ready to vote for him. He currently on Ahinma Kokobin, where he will soon be addressing the party, to see a lot of people gathered in and waiting to listen to the Vice President and the NPP flag bearer. And because he doesn't go alone, he goes to the regional chairperson, that's Bernard and Chief Canada, flanked by other party leaders and other party functionaries. He has their support to ensure the members of the constituency, the various constituencies they are able to vote for him. Upcoming elections.
Right. Daniel, thank you so much for that report. Daniel Opoku is a man who is embedded in the campaign trail of the NPP's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Now, flag bearer of the NDC has justified his decision to institute the Cocoa Roads program to improve road accessibility across the country. John Mahama says the most sustainable way of constructing roads in the forest and cocoa growing areas was the innovative program he started. He was speaking in the Bodik constituency.
Na koko yeteko ni akoji dollars aba enso bebia yedua koko do na akwan ni nyina asai enti ne ya adwen say ebe ye Cocoa Roads program enti emre bia yedi koko no beko bia ye beti sika ni bi so ne ye dia besiese mo akwan eno na ne ye ya fofianto ata ye si free akonya no so ena ye nuanom beje ye on beje ye o mo twa ni nyina ye ja ena akwan na asai Yankotia almost say so 12,000 kilometers of roads. Now make us say 12,000 kilometers of road e Ghana ha in favor tria. And you made the body for a bro papa. If you say kwan ni bi wan. And na yeba e kwan na say na in favor tria mo dia kwan no. Afia ye beto aba no. my term the contractor at the Fidia Betoso. Now, Oka say Ghana for any body for your enquada. Over yet to say more, yeah. Yet 2 ya na machines no. Ya beso ako. Sa no ma ya. Interfere bien. Ade omo ye no yenim se enya de a omo ahye da se ombe ye kwan no NDC ne beba ban mu abewie sa mo kwan no amamo.
We can now speak to Komla Kluche, who's traveling with John Dramani Mahama. Komla, good afternoon to you. Tell us what's going on today.
His second engagement for the day. The first one was a courtesy call on the chief of Adabo Chrome in the Bia East constituency. Then he held a community engagement also in the Bia East constituency. Specifically, the Bia East is closer to the Ivory Coast border in the western north region. Pretty bad roads, I must say. Yes, in that sound clip you played a short while ago, he has been questioning where the 12,000 kilometers of road is. But on the issue specifically of the Cocoa Roads, you will recall after he lost power in 2016 and the NPP government took over, they had halted the Cocoa Roads, indicated they needed to do an audit of it. 8 years down the line, there's absolutely no report or nothing indicating or nothing incriminating so far. And he says that it was just a deliberate ploy to deny people what they need in terms of road infrastructure. However, he makes the point.
Well, it would appear that we lost that
on the road this time around, indicating that they are committed to doing roads. It's just a camouflage, and that between now to then 3 weeks to election, he questions the commitment as to how the government will be able to commit to complete these roads. But he's also been talking about some of the or saying that he will do under the Cocoa sector. He talks about the section of boreholes in the Cocoa the farmers heavily turn on the boreholes to other districts
Very welcome. Now, I'm afraid we'll have to end our conversation. The line is terrible at this point, but thank you so much. Komla Kluche is traveling with the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, who's been visiting some cocoa growing areas and promising innovative programs to improve road infrastructure in those areas. This is your Election Command Center.
Away from politics now, this afternoon, the Association of Private Schools say they have had enough of unfair treatment by government over the 30% priority placement system, which gives public school students undue advantage over their private school colleagues. The association has initiated a legal process after successfully petitioning the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, demanding a more inclusive senior high school placement system. Christian Yale is a man that's been following this particular story for us and reports that the association has also lamented harsh treatment by the West African Examination Council in the fallout of the 2024 BEC results that have been released. He will join us shortly, but a press encounter just ended moments ago, and conversation on this raging on issues which include the failure of the government, they say, not helping in that regard. Let's try and get better understanding of all of this. Christian Yali joins us from the press. Christian, thank you for your time. To start with, so what exactly is the concern being raised here? They say the 30% allocation given to public schools is affecting private schools or students from private schools going into senior high school. Is that the concern?
Exactly, Martin. So you would recall that it was in 2017 that the then Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, justified this introduction of this policy, saying that, out of the over 600 SHS then, most of the students who were admitted in, over 80% of them were from private schools and well-to-do homes. And so this policy was necessary to ensure that there is that bridge of gap, to ensure that there is that form of equity, to ensure that, well-to-do and brilliant but poor students from public institutions are given this 30% allocation. It turns out to be the other way around years down the line, that parents and schools that form part of the private school sector are being disadvantaged, in that over the years, students who are doing very well, they pass their BEC very well from the private institutions, are denied enough access into senior high schools due to this 30% priority placement system, which they are lamenting today. And so this prompted the reason for petitioning Shraj, because over the period also, subsequent education ministers have not been interested in resolving this matter, which has left most parents whose wards are from the private sector troubled and really traumatized, because, mind you, you finance your wards education, they pass out very well, I beg your pardon, and they have to go to the senior high school, and they lack that equal access because of a policy. And so in their petition to Shraj, these are some of the claims that the Association of Private Schools are making. One of it is that this policy, as it stands, is creating an even field for private school students, and it's affecting their academic pursuit and their future plans. Also, it is undermining academic merit as a key factor for enrollment into senior high schools. So in a case, it means that merit is not rewarded, academic excellence is not rewarded, but we are just passing students into senior high schools based on what type of school they attend. And so there have been some key addresses made in this first SOT. We have Professor Damasus Turosong, who is the national president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, who is making a case for Shraj to investigate this and to ensure that this policy is reversed.
And you have two wives. You must love the children of both wives equally, irrespective of which wife was the first wife or the second wife, irrespective of which of the two wives is your beloved and which one is your less loved wife. The Ministry of Education has two wives: public schools, private schools. So the children of these two systems must be equally loved and equally cared for. Dear media friends, permit me to elaborate on some issues regarding this year's BEC and the attendant placement issues. When WAEC released this year's BEC on 19th October 2024 and announced that the results of 149 schools were under investigation, little did we know that many innocent candidates from private schools will be unduly penalized. On suspicion that some candidates engaged in malpractices, their results were withheld. We believe WAEC could have done a more due diligence before withholding results of some of those schools. Few examples of the affected schools will suffice. Take the case of Candid Standard School in Bibiane and Bible School of Africa in the Upper East region, where the entire results of candidates were withheld on suspicion of malpractices, only for the results to be released recently without any adverse findings. But as I speak, the poor students of these affected schools haven't been placed into any senior high school yet. What was their crime? Their results probably looked too good for someone's comfort. We also have some schools in Kaswa, namely Royal Beam Academy, Xavier Children Foundation, His Grace Preparatory School, and Tanks International School, whose science results have been withheld. The last time I checked, the candidates had been invited to appear before an investigation committee. God knows when they will be cleared to now begin the process of searching for schools.
Right, so Christian, we've heard him there. They are petition strike. What exactly are the timelines they are looking at? Because we know that the school academic year could also be a contributory factor to how all of this is decided, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And so one of the questions that media people here posed to them was how they're even going to resolve this. Should the petition go against them, or should the outcome go against them, and what would be their next line of action? And they mentioned, for instance, that they're going to go a full haul to ensure that even if Shraj does not give them the needed result that they want, they have a right to get a legal action at the court with their lawyers working on it. But the timeline to answer that question is as soon as possible, because, Martin, we are talking about over 22,000 private schools that are involved in this. And when you look at the same reasoning that the then Education Minister Matthew Prempeh gave about underprivileged schools, they are even making a point that we have about 70% private schools that are classified as low cost. And the situation is even dire for those who are in rural or underserved areas. So indeed, they also have a concern. That is more about what they are asking Church to do by probing whether the current system as it is in the Constitution, or as in the 30% priority system, violates or undermines the access to equal education as enshrined in the Constitution. Right. That is one. And also, they are asking Church to demand immediate abolition of the system and ask the Ministry of Education.
Okay. Christian Yali, thank you for that report. Definitely, if you go to our website, 3news.com, you get details of this particular issue over there and many other stories that we have for you on our website. Stay with us. This is still News Central. We have other stories for you right after this.
Bawumia once said,
teachers are suffering. Teacher trainees are
Stories now. Convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, has criticized Parliament for failing to consider the Environmental Protection Bill, which seeks to repeal LI 2462, a regulation that permits mining in Ghana's forest reserves. Speaking at an event organized by the Achimota Old Students Association, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe condemned Parliament's leadership for prioritizing debates over certain positions and the designation of majority leadership rather than focusing on critical national issues.
One of the things that was promised was the fact that when Parliament returned on the 15th of October, we're going to have the repeal of that obnoxious law. The law that saw the NPC and the MPP sit in Parliament and decided that they will give the President the power to allow people to go mine in forest reserves, including areas of critical biodiversity areas. And again, look at what the media did. Who were giving those licenses to go into those places? You see what they've been doing? After the two of them put together, passed that obnoxious LI 2462, they came and they were not juggling on where they are going to sit.
We'll now take you to the Ashanti region, where over 40 hectares of reforested land under the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project at Nswem No. 2 in the Bosomifre district of the Ashanti region is under threat of illegal mining activities. Now, thousands of the trees and food crops planted by the Environmental Protection Agency and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture are continuously being destroyed by the illegal miners, despite warnings. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent. Is joining us with more details on this development. Ibrahim, good afternoon. How widespread is the destruction, in the Nswem No. 2 area?
Well, Kemini, this is an activity that started in less than a week ago, and currently several of the 40 hectares have been destroyed, and thousands of the 25,000 trees that have been planted since August 2023 have also been destroyed. Now, this is a World Bank project which is intended to restore the vegetation along the river and water bodies with the aim of protecting the natural resources, because we do know that most of Ghana's vegetation has and continue to be defaced by these illegal miners and also loggers. So now this intervention came not only to protect the environment, but also protect livelihood, because the more these water sources shrink or get polluted, the more farmers are unable to get water to irrigate their farm, and also people getting safe water to drink. Now, so that was how come this project started. But sadly, this intervention is being destroyed by these illegal miners. In fact, the Environmental Protection Agency and also Mineral Commission officials within the Konongo area have been to the site, assessed it, and they have currently put together a report for onward submission to their headquarters so that something be done about this. But when you go there and you see the extent of damage, like I said, this is something that started within just a week, and how they are boldly or destroying the trees planted with impunity. It is something that is quite unfortunate.
Very well.
And they have been confronted, and still they are still there doing their illegal activity.
I see. And what are local authorities doing about this?
Well, for local authorities, they have just given the assurance that they will clamp down on them. But, you know, Kemini, in this time that we find ourselves, even talking about illegal mining within the various districts and municipalities have become a sensitive issue because of the politics that people play with it. But they have given that assurance that they will commence an investigation to know who is the owner of that concession, or who is destroying that place, and go ahead to prosecute those people.
I see. Ibrahim, thank you so much for the reporting. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent.
All right, so let's stay on issues of finding out what's happening across the various regions. And the state of road infrastructure across the country has become a major issue for discussion as we head into the December 7 polls. Though the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government says it has constructed some 12,830 kilometers of roads across the country, some key roads remain in bad shape. We also had the former President John Mahama allude to that 12 kilometers of road should lead you from Ghana to Japan. I wonder how the former president came up with that calculation. But let's find out from Faisal Abdul Idrisu, who is our Volta regional correspondent, is joined us specifically from the Hohoe area for a chit-chat on this. Abdul, Faisal, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Which specific area are you? Talk to us about the state of road within the Hohoe municipality.
Well, Martin, let me tell you that the Hohoe area, since the last administration of the John Mahama administration, has seen some progress in terms of the state of their internal roads. A lot of the roads were asphalted, and then this government continued. And so when you go to the Hohoe township itself, you will not have an issue with roads. But the roads leading to Hohoe, either you are coming from the Santrokofi, Akpapu area in Hohoe, which is on the Ikwanta stretch, that particular stretch is in a very bad state. If you are using the Podome to the Hohoe township stretch, it is equally very bad. You are using the Gulukwati to Hohoe, which is also part of the Eastern Corridor Road, it is very bad. The visuals you see are visuals from the last visit I made during the rain. Nonetheless, in recent weeks, including last 2 days when I went to Hohoe, the roads remain same. In fact, the Podoma stretch prior to the 2020 election was done, and the MPP government touted it to be one of the achievements, for which reason they asked the people of Hohoe vote for the MPP government of John Kutamari. 3 months into that, the road went bad. As I speak to you, the bitumen surfacing done in 2020, somewhere around September, has been removed. Quite recently, it has been repaved and graded, and that is what drivers are using at the moment, but it is very dusty. So when you go to Hohoe, the conversation leading to the election are basically about the state of their roads, then the issue of unemployment, which I mentioned yesterday, which is already a national issue, and then the issue of water. But the state of roads leading to Hohoe in particular, the major roads are in extremely bad shape.
Right, Faisal, thank you. We'd have to leave it here for now, and it's interesting to see how all of this will play out, considering the fact that the Hohoe constituency is the only seat that the NPP does hold in the region. Before winning, John Peter Amewu, were told, actually whitewashed the entire constituency with some developments, but it might translate into, whether it will translate into the adjoining roads like he's indicated is a different story. Stay with us. We'll keep close tabs on all of these for you. You're still watching News Central. We'll be back with more.
It's time now for us to go. Before we do, though, let's take a look at that.
Yep, and because we are in a digital era, you also need to be part of the bigger conversation. Follow us, especially on Instagram. What you see there is 3news.gh. All conversations we have on our platforms, plus interviews and programs, are uploaded there so that you can also be in the know on the go. So please download, follow, and then be a part of our bigger conversations here.
I'm Kemeni Amano.
And I'm Martin Esedu. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Bye-bye.